Hi everyone, I'm Arthur. Today I want to show you how to use Azure Function in the Microsoft Cloud. The Azure Function is part of serverless solutions in the cloud. And for Amazon, AWS Lambda is similar to the Azure Function. And today I want to show you how to use Visual Studio 2019 to create Azure Function in the project. And we will create a project from scratch and we will deploy it and publish it to Azure Cloud from Visual Studio. And let's get started. Okay, let's fire up Visual Studio 2019. So after the application is on, you can create a new project by selecting the Azure function. Click on next. So go ahead, select the HTTP trigger option. And what it means is that this Azure function that we are building call by an URL. You can call by the logic app or some other way to call, because it will be like URL, like a website. So go ahead, select that, and leave it as a default storage app, storage account as default, and select the anonymous authorization level for simple example. So we are creating that endpoint that won't be require any authorization. So it could be called by anyone as long as they have that URL. Okay, let's click on create. So after it finish creating the project for you, what you can do is starting coding like normally you do in a Visual Studio project. So you can just create different module, different classes from this project. So the default is a function one, right? We can create another function here, just like before. And we can call it like do some actions, right? So let's create a function called calculate total, and select HTTP trigger. And for this demo, we choose the anonymous level for authorization and click on OK. For this example, let's say we get some get total from a database or some kind of calculation behind the scene. So okay, so so the function receive a so the function allow us to receive a query that's coming from the person who called. So the function allow us to receive the object being called. So maybe there's a query string or some other a post body, so we can receive the input from here and then do some process with it. So let's say probably we can get let's say a process ID or some person ID or some kind of ID that need to be processed and look up for. So we can get it from here and then do some process with it. So in this case, we are calculating some kind of information, and then we're getting a total from it from this function. So let's run the function, the Azure function, by clicking on the start cursor. And the first thing that you see after you click on the run, it will pop out a command prompt. And this means that when this is all done, this means that we can call this URL from any browser. And let's see what we have. Let me open up a browser so you can see how Azure Function works. HTTP trigger. So that's our default functions. So let's go ahead and okay. So as you can see, it actually run the code that we develop and return the value from this function. So in case you need to have a response, you can just use this function here. Return a new OK object result. Well, it is not necessary to give any response if you don't need to. If the function that you are working on is not required to output a message, and that's fine. You can leave it as a blank. So after you finish up all the debugging and development in the local environment, let's go ahead publish the Azure function to the cloud. And how do we do that is going to the project and right click on the project itself and go ahead click on publish. So there are many ways to publish it, and make sure you have an Azure account with you, because I'm going to publish my Azure application to the Microsoft Cloud for Windows. When you want to publish the Azure function, um, if it's existing function, you can just select one of those here. If I'm going to create a new Azure function, like in our demo, go ahead click on the create a new Azure function link. Okay, and you can provide a unique name. So the name of the function is going to appear on the URL that you expose to be called by your Azure function. So make sure if it's for public or for other party to use your URL, make sure you know that it's going to be viewed by the people, by the party that you give them the URL. So make sure the location is the same as your resource group, so you don't have a latency problem when you are calling within your resource group. And go ahead and click create. So that's it. That's how you create an Azure function in Visual Studio 2019. I hope the steps are easy to follow in the video. If the video helped you learn how to use Visual Studio 2019 to create Azure function, please give the video a thumb up. If you like to see video like this in the future, please subscribe. I hope the tutorial video is helpful for you in your development. I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you next time. Goodbye.